Okay, this is from the book Underground Study Skills, Chapter 17. We're going to talk about word association. So basically, what you want to do whenever you learn something is ask yourself a question. How long do I need to know this for? Do I need to know this for the midterm in a week? Do I need to know this for the final exam in 2 months? Do I need to know this for a standardized exam in 6 months or in 2 years or something? And then based on how long you need to know it for, say, how am I going to learn it? And so usually if I want to learn something long term, I'll have to make a word association of some sort. And I just associate it with something. The way we remember everything is we connect it to something we already know in our brain. So here's Harry Lorraine, author of that book I showed you yesterday, this Super Memory Super Student. The only way to learn something new is to associate it with something you already know. Daniel Willingham quote, he writes books about education. The only way to understand something new is to associate it to something you already know. You can, Samuel Johnson, all judgment is comparative. So you compare it to something you know, you associate it with something you know, and then you start to play games with the word. Rhyme the word with something. All these tricks, this is called encoding the information, that gets you to remember it better. And I always ask myself, will I remember this, however long I need to know? Will I know this in 2 months, 3 months? And do whatever you need to do to make it so it'll stick with you. A concrete word is better than an abstract word. Our brain is visual. If you can have a picture of it or associate it with something that is pictorial, that's good. Our brain loves novelty. If you can associate it with sex or violence or surprise or something funny or something that rhymes, that'll stick with you better, okay? The brain is, designed to survive, to walk down a path in a forest or a jungle. So something to do with survival makes you remember it better. That's why violence and sex and other things make something more memorable. Okay. All right. So anyways, that's the key question. It's easy to learn something, but the challenge is to remember it. And again, always do a walk and talk. Close your book, walk around, and start talking to yourself, and you should be able to say the things in order, preferably in a narrative or a story form. A lot of stuff is vocabulary. If it's just vocabulary, that's sort of binary. Stimulus, response, stimulus, response. Flashcards are good for that. You can make your own written flashcards on little note cards. You can do stuff on Anki deck of, flashcards on your cell phone or on your computer, for example. I always look for a funny rhyme or the word reminds me of something. And, when I was in high school, I had to memorize a poem by Edgar Allan Poe, Annabel Lee. I was a child and she was a child in this kingdom by the sea, but we loved with the love that was more than love, I and my Annabel Lee. It was many and many a year ago in a kingdom by the sea that a maiden there lived whom you may know by the name of Annabel Lee. Okay, I can still remember that poem many, many years later, just because all the rhyme in it and because I recited it and stuff. So anyways, rhymes are very memorable. Making things opposites, like the Charles Dickens line from "It was the best of times, it was the worst of times" from A Tale of Two Cities. That'll help you. If there's a joke like this, the word for wife in Spanish is esposa. The word for handcuffs is just the plural of that, esposas. Okay? That kind of stuff makes stuff memorable. You can make a mnemonic for how you form mnemonics. I didn't actually usually use these mnemonics. I had known from experience that's what works. I always get my sleep. I never ever did an all-nighter. I just studied a lot in the daytime, especially in the mornings. And I ate healthy. I got a lot of exercise so I could sleep well at night. And all of that helps you to think well. Also, you want to avoid anything that distracts you. You should never watch TV. Only stupid people watch TV. You should never listen to beat music. You should avoid other types of music that are distracting, like avoid heavy metal or grunge music. Now, I realize when you're lifting weights, you might want that type of music for a little while. That's okay while you're lifting weights, but that's the only time. And I don't even like that music so much for lifting weights. But if you're lifting weights, then that you can make sense of doing that. But a beat pushes thought out of your brain. So you want to avoid things that push thought out of your brain. You want to avoid things that unnecessarily stress you, because you want your brain to be relaxed and thinking, and it'll be in the background working on memorizing the stuff you just studied. So when you take a study break, do your laundry, get some exercise, maybe take a nap, do a workout. All of that is good. So anyways, I hope those suggestions are helpful to you.